Hello trader, welcome back to another weekly Forex podcast for the third week of April 2025. This week we can expect some movement in some of the important instrument. DXY, as you can see, this is currently trending, which is a very important zone at the moment, about to break an important support level. We will be discussing in depth on this instrument. And with that DXY analysis, also we can look at euro dollar, British pound US dollar, NZDUSD and dollar CAD, and also XAUSD currently trending also very aggressively. We also will be looking in-depth analysis on how we can find trading opportunity throughout the week, including dollar yen and GBPJPY. So before this in-depth analysis, traders, make sure you give a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. So without further delay, let's get started this week's weekly Forex forecast. Okay, so first of all, let's look at DXY, and then we will be looking at all those USD pairs that we can see on the list. Now, as usual, we will be first of all looking at the bigger picture to see overall direction in this market. Now, DXY from long-term picture, as you can see, as expected in our previous analysis as well, the market managed to break this support level. Now, still we have 10 days to go for this monthly candle, and the price already below all this low, and it's on a fair value gap. So if we look a very bigger picture here, this is the previous order block on DXY, and we may see the long term the price even could try to drop back to that order block. As the market has broken from that structure, we can still expect DXY to remain bearish, as we see the weakness on DXY as well as the technical perspective showing that possible bearish trend in this market. If we look at the weekly chart to see how the market is evolving here, now from the weekly, if we look at here, this is a long week doji, a big drop followed by this pullback here with another long week doji, and back to back two strong liquidity trigger on DXY has given a stronger momentum from break from this resistance line here with a very sharp drop with this weekly bearish engulfer followed by pullback here. And we can see the market from here had a very strong drop again. Previous weekly candlestick pattern is a narrower weekly candle, which is in fact a potential trend continuation here. So what we can see here in that zone, this is the weekly resistance line here, and the price already back to back two weekly candle has closed below this support level. And what I think that this week we may see that the price to grab liquidity from this level, it may continue to drop from here, but what I think that they are, as you can see, almost back to back 5 weeks the market didn't create any higher high. It was moving in a strong downtrend. We might see that possible liquidity grab here above this high, all those stop loss, and there is a huge liquidity. And because the market is below this important support level, smart money might try to manipulate this area to grab the liquidity before it potentially drop back down here. So let's see daily chart what kind of price action it is forming. Now here on the daily perspective, the market is forming series of lower high in that area, which is a very strong downtrend at the moment from the daily chart. And what we can see that this is a daily resistance here. This is a swing high as well. The market was trending with a gap open, big drop, narrow pullback, another drop. The market is forming series of lower high and lower low. And what I think that this week we might see potential pullback to break any of this important swing high. It may still keep pushing down, as what is going down is likely to go down. And if we look at the intraday to see in fact which scenario to play out here. Now from the intraday, especially this 4-hour time frame, here we can see a very long wick candle, and which is almost nearly to ATR candle, and there has been a huge buying pressure here that we saw. It closed as long wick red candle. Now after close of this candle, we saw the market moved in a sideways quite extended period of time. That means that this resistance and this support is important. So to break this kind of level, as the buyers has bought in the past from this zone, that's why this long wick candle has formed, and then the buyers lose confidence as this is a downtrend, and at the same time sellers also coming in a slow motion with a series of lower high formation. And what I think that with the market open, if the price tests this level here, it may require a deeper momentum, as if we closely look at it, you can see this is almost a no man's land, and in the past this zone has not been tested yet. So here what we can see, the market potentially could break that high here, and that's where a high probability opportunity may come in that area, which is also the weekly resistance line in this area. This is where we can look for potential entry in this market. So this is the DXY zone that we may see that the market to play out. This is one scenario. The other scenario, if the market is maintaining that series of lower high, as already there is one impulse here, the market has grabbed liquidity and dropped, so it's still maintaining that series of lower high. In that case, if we see the market has either opened with a big gap and started to drop, then if the candle closed below that level, we can look for potential pullback and retest of this level. If we see the market is respecting that level, this could be the zone that can be looked for potential selling opportunity in this market. In either cases, we will be looking for potential bearish on DXY. So based on that, let's look at now euro dollar. Now as euro dollar is a mirror of DXY, and this week if we look at the calendar on euro dollar, we can see that a pretty busy week coming up on euro, starting with the euro news on Wednesday, which is for very high impact news on euro. So we might see, as the news on Wednesday, we may see a little sideways movement in the beginning of the week. So let's see that bigger picture, how the market might be playing out here. Now looking at monthly on euro USD, we can see that this is the monthly bullish engulfer on euro dollar, and with that monthly bullish engulfer here, which is monthly candle close above this level, which is a very important monthly candlestick pattern, expecting euro dollar to remain potentially bullish after initial pullback in that area. So looking at here on the lower time frame from the weekly, what we can see that from the weekly perspective, here is the weekly price action, and what we can see, there was a sideways movement, series of higher low formation, followed by a big impulse on the weekly pullback, and it is in another bullish impulsive phase here from the weekly on euro dollar. And what we can see that this is the weekly bullish candle here. We see that this is the narrow range past week, which is the pullback of after this big move. And currently what I think that this week we may see the price may try to break this low here, grabbing that liquidity and then potentially bouncing back to the upside to create a new higher high in this market. Now if we look at the daily chart here on euro dollar, we can see that from the daily, this is the daily the impulse. We can see a big daily impulse followed by sideways movement, and what we can see here, that lower time frame price action creating series of lower high as euro news coming, and which is we might see that continuation of this uptrend, as we can see euro expecting DXY to break the high first. And what I think that euro dollar may try to break this swing low here and then to potentially bounce back to the upside. Now looking at the 4-hour chart here on euro dollar, here is what we can see, the lower time frame price action on euro dollar, which is maintaining that bullish market structure. There is an inverted head and shoulder here, and with that inverted head and shoulder, what we can see, the price potentially to break that low and that's what the primary potential, and it still may continue to rise here depending on the price action confirmation. Especially we'll be waiting for a dip here, as with that deepening can give a high probability trade setup. And I think that if the market moves in the beginning of the week in a sideway, that can give euro dollar to give a possible entry opportunity in this market. Now let's look at British pound US dollar. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we have in this instrument, looking at monthly chart to see overall picture in this market. Now from the monthly chart on GBPUSD, this is the third month on British pound US dollar back to back. It's in a very strong bullish impulse here, and this is the monthly resistance in that area on GBPUSD, and we may see that GBPUSD potentially to remain bullish for long-term picture in this market. So with that being said, expecting GBPUSD come down for a pullback and then to possibly to remain bullish for long-term direction. Now looking at the weekly chart here on GBPUSD, we can see that there is a weekly bullish engulfer, followed by we saw the gap open with a weekly bullish price action here in that area on British pound US dollar. And what we could see that this week, either to open with a gap or after initial pullback for the market to potentially move back up again to create a new higher high in this market. So if we look at the daily chart on GBPUSD, now daily price action here, we can see that it is in fact a very strongly bull market. We have seen there is a daily narrower liquidity gap here. The price crossed that low and then cross above with a stronger bullish price action. Now this today's last day of trading week, we saw that there was again another bullish impulse. Now this market is currently almost overextended, and I think that we may see potential deeper pullback, and this support level, that this is where all the stop loss below this low, which is an important level. And if we look at the intraday here 4 hour, we can see that after retest of this high, the market managed to bounce narrow pullback. It is also slowly creating series of higher high and higher low, expecting British pound US dollar to come down for a deeper liquidity gap and then to potentially bounce back up to create a new higher high. This is one scenario. The other scenario, we could see that on GBPUSD for the market to potentially test and then to revert from that zone. As soon as you will find suitable entry on British pound US dollar, we will be looking for going long with a high probability trade setup. Now let's look at NZDUSD. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we have in this market. Now looking at monthly chart on NZDUSD, we can see that from the monthly, this is the monthly price action where NZDUSD monthly candlestick pattern had a very sharp bounce from this monthly support level here, so which is a very important monthly support. And we saw the market from the support level every time the price was bouncing off that level, and with that monthly candlestick pattern, expecting NZDUSD potentially to remain bullish. As the price managed to break out, we might see that the price to go back up to that resistance line where there is a high liquidity. Now if we look at the weekly perspective here, there's a weekly bullish engulfer, and with that bullish engulfer on this instrument, as you can see the price, this is the weekly close, which has closed with a bullish impulse, expecting NZDUSD potentially come down for a pullback and then to remain back to the upside. Now looking at the daily chart here on NZDUSD, we can see that from the daily, this is the daily move, a big daily move here followed by this pullback, expecting for this instrument to drop down further for a deeper pullback and then to remain bullish for long-term picture. Now looking at the intraday perspective on NZDUSD, we can see that lower time frame price action here, which is a huge impulse to the upside on NZDUSD followed by this pullback. And currently the market is in a sideway, and what we can expect on NZDUSD for the market to break that low, grab the liquidity and then to potentially bounce back up. This could be the zone that we can look for potential entry after breakup structure in this instrument. Now let's look at AUD USD. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we may have looking at monthly chart on AUD USD. And as you can see, like the NZDUSD, AUD USD as well, there is a sharp bounce after this some fundamental changes. We can see that from this trend line, after grabbing that big amount of liquidity, break of this low, the market managed to break back to the upside on AUD USD, and from the monthly it's still showing that potential bullish pattern in this market. And with that being said, on AUD USD, expecting for this price to potentially go back up to that resistance line. If we look at the weekly perspective here on AUD USD, we can see that this is the weekly price action, which is a huge bullish engulfer, followed by gap open, and with the gap open, expecting for this market to potentially pull back and then to remain bullish as there is a sharp bounce, and we may see that potentially an inverted head and shoulder, and for the market to revert back to the upside as it may have an impact to the upside. Now if we look at the daily chart on AUD USD, we can see that this is the daily price action. From here, this is a daily huge impulse, followed by expecting for this market to come down for a deeper pullback and then to revert back again for another bounce. So especially previous daily low, here is the zone that we could see the market to break and then to return back again in the major direction of the trend. So any breakup structure can give us potential buying opportunity on AUD USD. Now let's look at dollar CAD. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we have in this instrument. Looking at monthly chart on dollar CAD, we can see that from the monthly chart here on dollar CAD, this is the monthly bearish drop here, followed by a narrow doji, followed by a huge bearish candle on the monthly on dollar CAD, and this market is a strongly falling market at the moment, and I think the price may potentially drop back to that monthly support level on dollar CAD. Now if we look at the weekly chart here, we can see that from the weekly, this is the weekly drop followed by this pullback, and the market is maintaining series of lower high here, and we saw that quite a few long week doji formation in that area from the weekly on dollar CAD, expecting for the market to potentially retest and then to return again in the major direction of the trend. Now looking at daily chart here on dollar CAD, we can see that the market trend is down. We have seen that there is a multiple liquidity grab and the market drops from that liquidity grab, and with that being said, expecting dollar CAD for the market to potentially return back for a pullback and then to return in the major direction of the trend. Now looking at 4-hour chart on dollar CAD, what you can expect in this market for the price to potentially retest that level and then to return again in the major direction of the trend. This is the zone that we will be looking for potential selling opportunity in dollar CAD. Now let's look at XAU USD. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we have in this instrument. Looking at monthly chart to see overall direction in this market. So from the monthly, we can see that XAUUSD is long-term bull market, and if we look at the historical perspective in this instrument, we can see this is the monthly inverted head and shoulder followed by this huge bounce followed by this pullback, and the market is maintaining that series of higher high and higher low, which is in an uptrend at the moment. And this is the back-to-back fourth month. We can see that XAUUSD is maintaining that bullish market structure, and we could see the price to remain bullish for long-term picture, as what is going up is likely to go up. Now looking at the weekly chart here, we can see that from the weekly also showing that bullish market structure. Here we saw there was a breakup structure, the market crossed the 20 EMA and then returned back to the upside here, followed by a big impulse pullback, another impulse, deeper pullback. And previous weekly candlestick pattern, we saw that there was a huge break of structure and the price just tested this previous swing high as a support, followed by a bullish engulfer from the weekly. And this week we can see the market so far showing that continuation of that uptrend, and we may see that ultimately a slower down here a little bit and then to return again back to the upside. So looking at daily chart now, daily price action and the market structure on XAUSD showing significant momentum in this, and we can see that there was a break of structure here as well. There was a break of structure. Whenever the market was breaking from that structure, we saw that there was a huge bounce, and here as well the market has broken from the structure and then there was a huge bounce in that area. Now here is the daily impulse followed by very narrow pullback, and we can see the previous daily price action with a huge bullish engulfer followed by narrower daily candle, giving XAUSD further probability to continue to the uptrend. As there is a break of structure, the market is still maintaining that uptrending market structure. So looking at 4-hour chart here to see that trend, and we saw that there was the sellers tried to break that low before even it tests the 20 EMA. The bulls took control. That's the possibility that the market may remain upside here in this upcoming week, and any lower time frame pullback could be an opportunity for us to potentially go long here. And there is an inverted head and shoulder here that we saw the market has formed that inverted head and shoulder and sharply has broken back to the upside here. And with that being said, here is where as soon as we will find suitable price action confirmation for this potential move to the upside on XAUSD, we will be looking for going long with a high probability trade setup. Traders, if you enjoyed this education and analysis, make sure you give a thumbs up and also join the Telegram community. You can find link below this video for more updated education as well as analysis that I am posting every single day. So now let's look at dollar yen, the yen pairs, and also we'll be looking at GBPJPY. Now looking at monthly chart on dollar yen, we can see that from the monthly, this is sharply falling market. From this resistance line, we have seen that there was a huge break of structure on the monthly on dollar yen, and with that drop the price currently below this monthly support level, and we could see that dollar yen potentially to remain bearish for long-term picture in this market from the monthly time frame here. Now if we look at the weekly chart here, we can see that from the weekly, this is the weekly price action. There is a weekly drop followed by this pullback, another drop followed by deeper pullback here, and we can see there is a gap open from the weekly. With that gap open, the market managed to break below, and we can see dollar yen potentially could continue to drop here, and it may drop back below this support level on the weekly chart on dollar yen. Now if we look at the daily chart here, we can see the market is still maintaining the downtrend. There is a huge liquidity grab with a head and shoulder formation, break of structure followed by another liquidity grab, a big drop here, maintaining series of lower high here in that area on dollar yen. And what we can see here with that series of lower high formation, expecting dollar yen for the market to potentially break any of this swing high and then to return, as from the daily the market is maintaining that daily series of lower high in this market. So looking at 4-hour chart on dollar yen, we can see that in this lower time frame we could see that potential break of structure. This is where we'll be looking for potential selling opportunity on dollar yen, as with the break of structure can give a potential trend continuation bias in this market. So this is the potential selling zone on dollar yen. Now let's look at GBPJPY. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we have in this instrument. Now looking at monthly chart on GBPJPY, and we can see that this is the monthly price action. So far there has been significant downward pressure here. This month the market has dropped to that low, and now it's in a pullback, as this is a bearish market. Any movement back to the upside will be an opportunity for sell. If we look at the weekly chart to see how the market is creating, you can see that here is the weekly drop with a back-to-back weekly bearish engulfer with a gap open. 2 weekly narrow doji has given GBPJPY for this market to potentially break below again, and back-to-back 2 weeks the market is breaking down, and we could see the price to potentially trend in that direction. So if we look at the daily chart here on GBPJPY, we can see that there was a long wick candle followed by a big drop here, and we can see there is a structure formation in that area, and with that structure formation expecting GBPJPY potentially to grab liquidity from any of this resistance. As the market is in a narrow range here, we could see that GJ to break the high and then potentially to trend back down again in the major direction. So looking at the 4-hour chart here on GJ, expecting for this market to grab liquidity from this resistance and then to potentially trend back down. So as the market is trending down, any break of structure is where we can look for potential selling opportunity in this market. I hope that traders, you enjoyed this education and analysis. If you enjoyed, make sure also you give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. And with that said, thank you, and I'll see you soon in my next analysis.